Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first all ERC devs call. My name is Victor. I'm one of the EIP editors. This call is all ERC devs. It's meant to provide a venue and a recurring meetup for people who care about ERC drafting, for ERC authors and the app builders to come together to discuss ERCs, to discuss the use cases and demos, and hopefully it provides a venue for you to collaborate and give peer reviews, peer feedbacks. We have had a wonderful platform and in asynchronized way. For example, we have Ethereum magicians, and we also have GitHub. And also, there's this wonderful place where you can go to see the EIP editors every 2 weeks for EIP editing office hour, which is hosted by Poja and usually attended by one of our EIP editors, Sam. But we also feel as a group that there lack a place where people can just come together, show up, and bring your ERCs to get a feedback from your peers. We also find that it is very hard for people to bring ideas and demos to a place to show other people. So this is a trial. Today is the first time that we hold all ERC devs, and hopefully it becomes a place where you will find helpful. I want to give a special thanks to Poja, who is the current lead and also considered one of the co-founders for Ethereum cat herders, to provide infrastructures for meeting like this by, for example, allowing the recordings to be provided and also Zooms. And I also want to thank anyone who have signed up your topics in this very first session. We hope that you will enjoy the rest of the 1 hour. So with that, I want to first wait and see if there's any comments from Poja to also say a few words about why we do this, or why Ethereum cat headers is supporting this. I really appreciate that you'll be here. It's a great support.
Thank you so much, Victor. I'm really glad to be a part of this new initiative that you have recently started. Today we are meeting for the first time, but I think there was the requirement of this kind of meeting for a very long time. Even today in my conversation with one of the ERC author for the program that we do, PEEP and EEP, they were mentioning that it would be nice to have a platform where they can go and talk to other developers and implementers, probably also use that platform to seek feedback with respect to their proposal. So I really congratulate you for starting this new initiative, and yeah, we hope to see it going as we planned.
Thank you very much, Poja. Your support and the support you provide from Ethereum cat herders means a lot to me and to this little new interest work group. Thank you. And I also want to take this opportunity to bring in, hopefully start some kind of culture of peer reviewing. And that is to say, everyone who is on this call hopefully feels that this is part of, take the ownership of yourself and feels that you own part of this meeting. So if it is all okay, I want to give a special thank to Kyle, who is also attending, and I'm assuming he's calling from a time zone that is a few hours from me. I wonder, his support and also proposing to have a meeting like this give me a lot of courage, and he helped craft a lot of things in this all ERC call as well. I wonder if Kyle, do you want to introduce a little bit about yourself and then why you did attend? And I also want to, by the way, give everyone a few minutes, one or 2 minutes, just to take a round and introduce why you're attending today, just so that everyone knows who's also in this call. So Kyle, do you get a chance to talk to us?
Yeah, I'm here. Looks like everybody can hear me. Yeah, so hi, my name is Kyle Den Hartog. I actually work at Brave on the security team. primarily focused on Brave Wallet, which is how I found myself down in the standard side of things. I've previously worked on decentralized identity for the past 5 years, working on the decentralized identifier and verifiable credentials specification at W3C. And so with the combination of kind of my overlap between kind of the Web3 space with the wallet and standards, I thought it was really good for me to attend, especially because on the wallet side of things, we see that the way that smart contracts process some of the transactions submitted by wallets can have a profound effect on the security of not only our wallet, but also on the ecosystem as a whole. So I figured it's good for me to pay attention to what's going on here and offer my my feedback and proofreading.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle, for being here. Now, I know that there is a few people who already signed up and are on the agenda and will sure be able to hear you. For those who don't have a agenda item that is attached, your name is attached to, I want to, before everything, I want to give you a chance to let other people know who you are and what makes you, what interests you to join the meeting today. So raise your hand if you are here, but you're mostly here to listen, not bringing any topic that is already on the agenda. Can you kind of raise your hand or type in the chat room so that if you are up for to introduce yourself? Yeah. Okay, Peter, I believe you actually have a demo. Are you Peter Chen?
Hi, yes. I think my demo is on like June 1st, right? Not this meeting. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Oh, I think you'll sign up as one of the demo today, but it's either way. If you're ready to sign to demo, you can do it today. But if you're not, you can do it on June 1st as well. I was anticipating. Yeah, so depending on you, if you anticipate it was the next week, then you can do it next week if you want.
Sounds good.
Next
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I was expecting to like demo next week because we're still fixing some bugs on our end.
Okay, sure. Yeah. In that case, I guess you can introduce yourself and why you are here, why you like to be in this call in general.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Peter. Thanks, Victor, for inviting me to have this group chat with all you guys. I'm the co-founder of HacksLink. HacksLink is building a modularized account layer based on account abstraction. And our team proposed 2 EIPs in the past, ERC 4972 and ERC 6662. And I'm here to, I want to like discuss more with all the ERC authors and also want to learn from all the ERC authors as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I saw that Bruce raised his hand. Hey, Bruce, good to meet you.
Hi, Victor. Nice to meet you. Yeah. So I'm Bruce from Elkstar. So I'm the product manager of EIP's Fund project, which is a project to make EIP funny and easier to be adopted by developers and authors or the tech startups, etc. So I'm very curious about the process of EIPs like working. So that's the reason why I'm here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce, for coming. And I happen to have the honor to be a member of VIP Fund in the Telegram group, and it was really well organized. I can't wait to see a lot of great things coming out from this new effort. Maybe one time you can sign up at demo to show people the update and cool things that EIP Fund is building. Thanks for joining. Awesome. Anyone else who doesn't have a topic but is willing to kind of greet other people, you're free to raise your hand. Sky High, welcome.
Hello. My name is Sky High, and working on the account abstraction recently, and I was wanting to discuss something about the ERC 6900 and modular smart contract account and plugins. And I used to work on this before, and I have little things to share, and this I have some research on account abstraction, and I'm working on it right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're not Jason, right? Are you Jason?
No, Sky High, and right now I'm working on a contract. I'm working on a ERC 457 infrastructure, and it's a account abstraction SDK, and is to I want to make a unify smart contract accounts. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
I will share some materials right now. Thank you.
Got it. Yeah, I thought I heard about ERC 6900. You mentioned it, and because Jason actually, one of the author, Jason actually signed up to give a updates or request for peer review. So I thought maybe it's your alias. But yeah, anyway, welcome to the GAN Sky High, and also saw Adam raise his hand. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Bruce. I'm joining here on behalf of ERC 6900, and I also wanted to mention that joining me from the same device is Jason, so I can actually update my display name to make that a bit more clear.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks so much for giving us this forum, Victor. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah. And also thank you very much for making it the first time. And so this is a great support, and look forward to hear what you have to present. And if that's it, I will also hand over the microphone to James.
Hi, yeah, I'm James from Smart Token Labs. I'm one of the co-founders of Smart Token Labs. So I work in the area of wallet attestation and infrastructure. We've got a number of ERCs. In fact, we've got one of the early ones, 875, which is a failed token launch. So that one never took off. We've also got, we've just had one approved, and we have a couple more in the proposal status. So I guess we're kind of a little bit invisible. We did all the attestation work for EdCon, DevConnect, DevCon. So you have used our technology. You just may not be aware of it. Basically, our mission goal is to bring Ethereum attestation infrastructure to non-Ethereum users. So we've got a number of proposals to make it really easy for people to get onboarded. Like trying to reduce all the friction points, like basically onboarding people to Ethereum is like the #1 pain point. So we've got technology to offset that, basically like issuing attestations that can be used on and off chain, and don't require a wallet. They use a zero knowledge proof link to some kind of a OAuth enabled identifier like Twitter or Facebook or Gmail. So yeah, so I'm this is a great meeting, and so I'm here to find out about like new ERCs that we can use, and also I have a demo as well which incorporates hardware, but I can't show it today because I don't have it set up.
Awesome. Thank you very much, James. That's exactly why we want to have this volume. It's good that you're here to see what new ERCs are out there. And also, I think by introducing briefly about what your attestation service provides, actually other ERC authors and contributors can have a new idea in their toolbox they might borrow. I would highly recommend you to sign up for next time for demo, because I personally can't wait to see your demo and to see the awesome possibility of bringing on next billion users onto this great Ethereum movement.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, James. Is there anyone who wants to speak before we started our agenda today? I think that's about it. Okay. Alrighty. So this is our first time, and then thank you for all coming in. We originally scheduled to have Hudson Jameson to give a speech about how EIP program started and why it matters. Unfortunately, he and the first demo author cannot make here today. But I think this is a great opportunity for you to dig into. I think the best resource would be EIP1 if you haven't had a time to take a look. I would also kind of briefly go through one of the demo today. I think it's worth noting, since Kim's is not here, but I happen to had a chance to use the template. So I just want to bring it to your awareness, and hopefully Cams himself or the community members in Turbo ETH will be able to sign up for next time of the demo slot for next time, or the sometime in the future. But generally, I think this is a very interesting template where people can start using Web3 development components immediately. It's called Turbo ETH XYZ, and then it actually incorporates a lot of different wallet connection and different chains. So you can basically start using it right away. I think what brings to me is that as an ERC author, I want to think about how people will start using my proposal. So looking at the templates and start making some of them myself, just to give it a try, fork the template and start deploying some of the prototype actually helped me think a lot. So this is one of the things that I really feel needed in this space. And I'm still collecting good and fun DApp projects or DApp template projects on my way. But if you happen to see something that is interesting, either you are the author or you are not, feel free to contribute to show and tell. So this is one of the things that we want to bring to your attention. Now, as Peter thought, Peter was initially set to be the second demo, but there's a mistake of understanding. He will actually demo the next time, so maybe we will just skip that as well. With that, we will go to the first ERC dev, which is the ERC 6982. I believe it's Francesco Sulo. Is Francesco here today? Seems like Francesco is not here yet, but I see Cassie So here already. Cassie, do you want to talk about your new ERC 7007 and why you work on it, what particular interests you, and also if there's something you want to ask the audience for request of feedback, what are those aspects you're looking for feedback from about?
Yeah, cool. Let me share my screen. I actually just have a couple of very simple slides. Right. So I assume everyone can see my screen here.
I can see the screen.
So the idea of ERC 7007 is to make a NFT extension so that there are some compatible interfaces that is relevant for zero knowledge machine learning. In particular, we're not really focusing on the privacy aspect here, but more of the provable or verifiable aspect here. So just a little bit background of myself. I am actually working for PSE, so Privacy and Scaling Explorations of Ethereum Foundation. But this is not kind of a work project. This is a project that I'm writing with friends because we all have this passionate about like CKML. My work is actually doing research on CKML, but we think it would be really cool to have a actual standard so that people know what to do with CKML. It's like everyone talks about AIGC NFT and everyone is talking about you can use CKML to verify it, but no one really talks about like how does that all goes together. So this is kind of the motivation. And it's also because there are already kind of like projects here and there that try to implement this at a smart contract level. So we want to see whether we can make this a standard. Right. So this diagram is also on the discussion forum. So don't worry if I just kind of like breeze through it. But the idea is that you will have a model and also a prover. Those would be either a private kind of like service provider, or for a open model, it could be like a bunch of nodes that are host the model and also are available to do the proving. So then a user will come in and give a prompt, right? So the idea of AIGC NFT is that the output is unique to a prompt and some seed, right? So let's say my prompt is as an astronaut riding a horse, right? Which is the most common prompts that you will see anywhere on a website, and as a sample prompt, and it will generate a unique image given some seed. But that's we're abstract away from the ML details now. So essentially what we're saying here is, as long as users are able to say that this is the first time this prompt has ever been used in this model or in this NFT collection, and I guess pay to mint it, then they own the result of that AIGC content, right? And the way to do that, to show that the model provider doesn't just randomly give an image, is to prove it through CKML, right? So CKML ensures that this prompt actually corresponds to this AIGC content. And then you can use a smart contract to verify and also mint the NFT. And then the smart contract in the middle will actually call what's called a verifier smart contract. But that's not part of the standard, of course. The standard that we're forming here is really here in the middle, the AIGC NFT smart contract. So the standard is actually very simple because we're extending 721. So really we want to add two main functionalities with on top of 721, which is first of all, at the bottom here, a verify functionality, which would returns a Boolean of whether that is a valid proof of a valid CKML proof or not. And also a mint function, which would take in more data than usual from other mint function. And so this is kind of the interface here you can see on the discussion board. So I'll not talk too much about this. And then there's also some optional extensions that we're writing. For example, enumerable, meaning that you can kind of query the token ID by the prompt and vice versa. We think that it will be a useful kind of functionality to have if we want to index the tokens. And also some possible improvements as well. And I think here is probably a good time to take a pause on saying like what we really want everyone to review. So let me first. So in addition to being a PR, let's see, hold on. Right, in addition to being a PR, we also already are on the Ethereum Magicians discussion board. So we are actively looking for feedback because this is really pretty much a first draft. So on this discussion board, the authors, which include me, ourselves, also have discussed about some possible improvements already based on what I've just presented. And we also got some feedback on, what variable to use for different type of data and the rationale of behind that. So we really appreciate if anyone would go on and kind of read through the discussion and give us some feedback as well. Right. So for example, one of the possible improvement we have think of is to kind of like expand the one more optional extension, which is called claimable, which would allow kind of people to commit the prompt first, right? So the idea is, well, for one, prevent front running, and for two, to avoid the result being so great that the service provider, the model provider itself actually be like, well, I want to take that prompt, right? Because the prompt was only previously communicated to the model owner. So that's also kind of one direction that we're going for right now. So that's kind of all I have for today. And yeah, I'm really happy to kind of present this and discuss, any way we can actually make this a better standard. And it's my first time writing an EIP. So yeah, any feedback is welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Kathy. That's wonderful presentation, and it helps me understand this EIP a lot. I think it adds a lot of value and could have a lot of use cases. For example, like testing copyrights and trying to resolve copyrights or infringement claim. With respect to the feedback, I have one that about the interface of a claim. Actually, if you want, you can look into one of the EIP that I happen to be authored, like conflict of interest declare. I have a EIP about commit. So there's a commit interface that you can look into, which could potentially help what you're achieving in the claim ones. The main goal is to avoid front running and also check in some of the information. The example that I used to use in that EIP for motivation was in ENS. When people need to claim a ENS name, they want to avoid other people seeing, oh, this is actually a good idea, let me claim it for you and front run you, so that when you want to really get it, you need to pay me much more than what is originally necessary. So take a look at the commit interface. Let me show you. EIP 5732 is something that you can take a look. And by the way, even though I'm one of the author of that interface, it's in, and I also wear the hat of being an editor. As an editor, I want to advise you that it's very, you are encouraged to think about collaborating with existing EIP, but also if that's not necessary or doesn't fit your need, you're also very encouraged to create a new one, sometimes a competing one. The only thing is that it's good for you to think about why it's necessary and what particular merits that your new version has over the other one, or what different problem you are trying to solve over the other one. And it's totally okay to create competing aspects or competing EIPs. And we want this to be a place where everyone can propose idea and then actually drive the adoption. So go ahead and take a look, and I'm more than happy to collaborate with you if you see that the EIP 5732 is a way is useful in your in what you think you want to achieve. And if there's something that what you want to achieve cannot be covered by that one, I'm also happy to see a new one or collaborate with you to create a new one as well. And
great, I will definitely look into it.
Yeah, and also feel free, other people on the call, where the main goal is to put these great minds together in the room to give feedback to everyone else. So for this one, okay, Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, I should probably start this off by saying I don't understand much of ZKML or anything like that. But one thing that popped out to me in specific about this commitment approach is that it appears like you could front run at the claim level with this to be able to preset this. And so I see a twofold improvement that you could do here, which is to commit the hash of the prompt instead. And I think this would serve two purposes. One being if the prompt has some sort of like, basically behavioral analytics that you could do on it. So at some point, people are going to start scanning the chain to try and create behavioral profiles about certain addresses. If a claim reveals some sort of behavioral information, that could be a problem for that address. And so by committing the hash instead, you're able to resolve that. The second thing is you actually are able to prevent the front running, because it's uninteresting at that point to try and front run it in the first place. So that's just one idea I have for an improvement to be able to try and help out with that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as I was saying that, I also just realized, yeah, the claim function is also able to be fun run. This is like, yeah, this is the part that we haven't really thought through, but I think your suggestions are actually very correct. So we do need to kind of rethink this, and how do we actually, yeah, make it, I guess, more secure.
I've actually heard this idea come up a few different times now. It sounds like Victor just encountered it. You've encountered it, Kathy. I've heard that we were encountering this over in some wallet-related work as well. So I'm thinking that this might actually be like this idea of like basically a piece of information being committed on chain through like a claim event. I don't know if it's possible to basically just like make that its own separate contract and define it in that sort of way as like a low level primitive that we can then implement on these higher level contracts. Maybe that's an approach that we could use to be able to reuse this commitment process in many different ERCs.
That's truly a good idea. Even though I've proposed a commit interface that could be used by arbitrary smart contract to store those committed information. I think what you proposed remind me of another idea that other people and I was discussed that you can potentially have a Merkle tree of root, a smart contracts that stores a lot of different roots of Merkle trees of commits together. And whenever you need to prove existence of a off-chain commits, you can actually just give them a list of the branches and the leaves. So that's one of the possible implementation to the proposal that you have, Kyle.
Yeah, it's striking me what it was about now. It was about claims within soulbound tokens was the problem. And that's the reason that a hash made more sense, was because then you could keep the claim off chain, but you could still be able to prove it. It probably doesn't fit as well in there, but the other place that I've seen this used in the decentralized identity space was for ion DIDs. Essentially what they're doing is they're doing a commitment of a Merkle hash root and then storing all of the actual data on IPFS. And so then they're able to reuse that scheme as kind of like an arbitrary measure to be able to timestamp it and version control using the actual chain. And so there's a lot of different use cases I can see for just like this really basic commitment hash scheme that can be reused all over many different ERCs, I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Kyle. I also see that James has raised hands. I don't know if James wants to speak, and yeah, James, feel free to speak. And
yeah, I did have a thought, but I think it's not really an ERC. Like, so my thought was, is it possible to reverse compile or reverse engineer the prompt from the AI image to see if like somebody has used your prompt and just not published it in this way. But I think hashing your prompt will solve that issue at a higher level anyway. So, but apparently it is possible to reverse engineer the prompt from an AI image, which is something I didn't know until just now.
Kathy, do you want to respond to that? I think that's a good question. I don't have an answer. I'm not an expert in AIGC.
I don't think you can exactly reverse a prompt. I'm not sure if that's the case, but that's a very good, very interesting thought, actually. But I was also thinking about, yeah, but I think it's true that the hashing solution is probably simpler, and the space is probably big enough so that it's not able to kind of brute force it. But yeah, but I think it's an interesting direction to look at, I guess, right? Like how we can, is there a way to kind of directly verify it? But typically it should be very difficult. Like you won't be able to get the exact string.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think the hashing will probably solve the issue. as far as you can solve it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. I would love to thank Kathy. Kathy, do you have other things to want to present, or I think we're already 7 minutes in.
No, that would be it. Yeah. Again, welcome anyone to go onto the discussion forum and join our discussion.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy. This is great. I will paste the link one more time for everyone to hop on and share your views or put your discussion there. Appreciate that. Cool. Thank you, Kathy. And next, we will discuss ERC 6900 by Jason. And Jason, I think that you also joined along with Adam. Jason, can you unmute?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And thanks again to Victor for giving us the opportunity. We're really keen to get some feedback on the proposal that we put a lot of time into. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Adam, who is one of the lead authors of the proposal.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, thank you again, Victor, for hosting. We do not have such a well put together slide deck as 7007, but I will be posting the link for this EIP in the chat. And I'm sort of hoping to just go over the motivation and then the rationale and the spec behind this, and open the floor for any feedback or potential collaboration. So yeah, just as a overview for the ERC itself, it builds on top of 4337. And what we sort of realize is with contract accounts, the possibilities for what's within an account is endless. Sort of by design, it's this open-ended programmatic interface for what makes up a valid transaction in Ethereum. And with that, lots of different possible features and accounts and wallets. Oh, thank you. And something we sort of thought about was that users don't want to deal with multiple accounts, migration, and compatibility issues across apps that want to use specific wallet features and specific wallets that implement those. So this was just an opportunity for new programmatic features to be built into the wallet itself that apps and dApps could use. So some of the canonical examples we were thinking about were supporting multiple key validation schemes. So there's a standard SECPK one that externally owned accounts currently use, but it's possible to extend that to R1 curves or BLS, or even more composed logic, like a multi-sig. On top of that, there's opportunities for delegated permissions. So you give your friend a specific key where they're only allowed to do certain actions, but not all actions. Or even changes to the payment model. So going from a push payment to a pull payment system with a subscription. And with this is sort of a coordination problem where the plugin developers, who are sort of external to the account developers themselves, want to use these features and want to build these features. But there's a wide variety of account offerings and no standard for how to write these plugins towards accounts. Just to list a couple of examples right now, Zero Dev supports plugins and Save supports modules. Yes, right there. And so this standard is designed as a way for the plugin developers and the account developers to coordinate to sort of unlock the full potential of account abstraction. And as a sort of architectural and technical overview, there are 3 types of user-defined functions that these modular accounts support. So that's validation functions, execution functions, and hooks. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's a sort of workflow describing, there's a diagram describing the sort of where those fit in the execution pipeline. And in terms of the implementation, we originally took inspiration from ERC 2535 diamonds. So routing based on which selector, and using that to sort of allow parallel implementations of features across the account itself. And this diagram describes both the 4337 use case as well as sort of backwards compatibility with Safe and other non-4337 smart contract accounts, where there's a direct call into the accounts, and there's a separate validation case for that. And yeah, I guess the last sort of update that I can share here is sort of future plans. So following some discussion in the ETH Magicians Forum, I think it's accessible via the link at the top of this page. We're looking into how to switch from using delegate call to call. So this is ramifications around where the storage for the account and the plugins live, and just general sort of, safety guarantees that you can draw about these accounts. Switching to call keeps storage isolated and makes it easier to do things like formal verification, and audits that are like more bounded in scope. Additional updates we're still working on are composable validation. So having multiple steps in the validate user op, potentially for like permissions checking or other steps that aren't built all into the same plugin. Yeah, just looking for feedback on the interfaces themselves. So the iPlugin updates and iPlugin loop around gas efficiency and what they currently look like. And yeah, I think that covers the bulk of our work so far. We're sort of excited to hear community feedback, and we are looking for future collaborators and to work on this and make it the best sort of proposal it can be in addressing this problem.
Kyle, you're the first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really like the idea of where this is going. So the one thing that pops into my mind about this is if you utilize a plugin as basically an authorization logic, is it possible that you could end up in like a brick state for the account where you plug in new authorization logic, and in order to add a new plugin, you have to utilize the old plugin you set. And if that old plugin you set is incorrect, then you've basically bricked the account state. And so I'm not sure if that's possible because I haven't looked too deeply into it, but have you guys thought about that problem?
Yes, we sort of have. It's a like that is a potential for users to end up in that state. I think with like non-custodial accounts where the user is in full control of the configuration and features, I think it's possibly like an unavoidable problem. Like if a user intentionally does that, like that's going to be possible. In terms of just like realistic mitigations, something we sort of expect to be a common workflow is to have a regular sort of validation around like common execution use cases. So, executing a transfer or an interaction with a DApp, and then a sort of separate set of execution and validation around account recovery. And so that account recovery would be like an alternative workflow, possibly like social recovery or alternative services that then modifies the configuration of the validation plugin to be updated.
Okay, that makes sense. The idea that popped in my head was to try and use something like the delegatable framework that Dan Finlay's been working on as a way in which you essentially delegate the plugin access to perform logic on behalf. And then with that, because of the way the delegatable chain works and the attenuation chain, I think you could effectively just disable it from the contract itself in order to do an override to be able to exit that brick state. But I'm not sure how these things would all fit together. So like, that's just kind of an idea to put out there. I don't know if it works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but maybe take a look at like that kind of approach of like utilizing some sort of like delegation model of the actual contract itself rather than the call or the delegate call like you previously looked at.
Yeah, thank you. We'll take a look at that. Do you know off the top of your head if the delegatable framework, was that the one that overrides or like expects contracts to change from message.sender to like a custom message sender function? Or am I mixing that up with a different like tool?
I'm not certain. I've not spent enough time digging into it, but I just know that like the mental model of it is a good way to approach a lot of these like authorization situations that's been used elsewhere.
Okay, sounds good. We'll take a look.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. And I see that Pooja has hand raised. Pooja, go ahead.
Hi, I have a comment with respect to this proposal. I see that you have mentioned proposal 4337 as a required section. So this proposal has already been merged as draft, but from draft to review, it would be harder for the proposal to move ahead because the bot will stop it. So I would highly recommend you to work with the authors of 4337 and let them move proposal from draft to final status, if you are by any chance touch with authors.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if we can reach out. Notably though, this and just to double check that using the requires correctly, it sort of builds on the interfaces from 4337 and sort of expectations around how accounts work with the 4337's defined like off-chain actors. But technically this like ERC 6900 operates in a way that it's possible to still have the modular features without using 4337. And if it's optional, I guess the question towards you is, should we still list it in the required section of the ERC?
Actually, it depends. Like if the proposal can run without that, like an implementer hasn't implemented 4337, but they can successfully implement 6900, then you'd not necessarily put it into required section. But if you need that to be there, 4337 to be there, then yes, that is a requirement.
Yeah, I think Poja raised a very good point where this is not many ERC authors knows. This is maybe not aware by a lot of ERC authors, but there's this implied requirements in EIP editing where if an ERC or EIP lists some of the other EIP as requires, its status cannot be more advanced than the dependency. The idea being that for example, if you are depending on EIP 4337 and it has not finalized, then it is subject to change, and then you should not be finalized if you really depend on them. And this is actually guardian by a bot rule that avoids such thing. So I think it's a good question for you to ask if your ERC really depends on the specification of EIP 4337. If what you designed and specified requires that EIP 4337 to be final, to not change, then actually, yeah, that's the case where you would really need to work with the author or author groups of EIP 4337 to move forward of their status until you can move forward. If not, then I think you can remove it from the required and just say in some of the case, for example, you can use EIP 4337. We will integrate with it will integrate very well in their landscape. But you don't make assumption that they will maintain the same status or maintain the same specification.
Just a little bit of correction here. I think it would be better just for example, you have also mentioned the proposal 2535. I haven't read, but I heard the conversation, like explanation. So even if there is a mention of that proposal should not be exceeding the status of the earlier proposal or the proposal that is being mentioned, because bot scans throughout the document. So it is always a good idea, if you think that your proposal is not dependent on 4337, you can use some wordings from that proposal stating in what kind of situation people might make use of this proposal, but do not use the term EIP 4337 or ERC 4337, because if you do, bot will stop you.
In this case, ERC 2535 happened to be final, so they don't
yeah,
have.
that is great. Yeah, that is great. But I'm saying that, you have put both ERCs, even if you are not adding it in the mandatory section, required section. Is there a mention in the proposal of 4337? Probably it will not allow you. The bot will scan and it will stop you.
Cool. I think that's very helpful. Thanks, Poja. Any comments or response by Jason or Adam?
No, other than that, that's incredibly helpful to know. Thank you.
Cool.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, and thanks, Jason. Do you have other other part of the presentation that you want to share, or that's it?
I think that's it. We're open to answering any questions too.
Yeah. And does anyone else have more questions for what Adam and Jason has shared about EIP for ERC 6900? Alrighty, I think we'll call that the end of that topic. Now, I just want to also mention that Sky High has put in the comments that SAFE has decided against using the diamond pattern. What do you guys think? I think we can, if you Sky High, do you want to speak?
I want to ask Jason about the SAFE decided against using the diamond patterns. And you are using the diamond because there are some security issues. And how do you think of that?
Yeah, I can take this one. So yeah, they publicly stated that they don't want to support anything directly using the diamond pattern. Basically, under our belief, like if such a standard uses the diamond pattern, what that results in is a sort of safety requirement on account developers to maintain a list of trusted plugins, right? Because like a single bad plugin has a capability of overriding the storage of other plugins, leading to things like privilege escalation and whatnot. And I think calling it a vulnerability is a little bit potentially like putting in the bad light, because diamond proxies do have useful and like valid uses. But in this case specifically, I think it's a sort of a hefty responsibility, or like a heavy requirement for account devs to take. And that's partially why we're looking into migrating from delegate call to call. So that's essentially removing the concept of like requiring a specific type of proxy from this EIP at all, and changing the storage layout between the accounts and the plugins to be in their respective contracts. So we're sort of researching this and getting like ready to share more in the actual like ETH Magicians forum. But yes, this is something that we're addressing.
Yeah, I see. We are all in the groups of the modular contract account standards formed from the rainstorm, and we can discuss on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sky High, for putting that into people's attention. And Kyle, I saw your hands raised, and we have 5 minutes left. Yeah, so keep it short.
So one thing that I've seen in standards, because it sounds like you guys are basically faced with a trade-off here, where you're not necessarily sure what's the right way to go, and there's security concerns in many different directions. One thing that I've seen work very well in standards is to actually not define this and find a way in which you can create what's called an extension point, where a secondary standard can be used to define the different patterns that exist for this, in order to basically allow you to be able to try out many different things while still being able to move the standard forward. So I would suggest, if it's possible, to try and find a way to be able to make that work. Because like you said, wallet developers would have to like maintain a list. Like my first thinking on this is, what if you could use, basically a DAO in order to maintain that list instead, and you're able to point at that DAO in order to maintain the list. To me, there's like many different ways that could be approached. And so like, it's very important in standards to recognize when you want to create an extension point versus when you don't want to. And so this could be a very useful way for you to be able to approach it, is to be able to try and slot this in. But because of the way delegate call is being used, I don't know if that's necessarily possible.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. We'll definitely look into ways to, like leave things open to implementers, or potentially to be clarified in future standards discussions. For this case specifically, we'll have to double check to see whether something like that's possible, because it's sort of, if left unspecified, then implementers would basically have to like split into two groups of ones that use call and ones that use delegate call because of the ramifications it has on actually implementing the accounts and the plugins for it. So there's a potential that that's leaving the specificity out of the standard won't work here, but there's also a chance that it will. So we'll take a look.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, the other option might be to like try and use only the call option, but then be able to find a way in which you could do both patterns using the call. And then if you do this, my suggestion is to add a considerations section into the document to document the different trade-offs so that implementers are aware of kind of the different directions to go and what's like been thought through with it.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
That's super helpful. Thanks, Kyle. And then also thanks, Jason and Adam, bringing this wonderful topic. And I think we're about 2 minutes left. I don't think we will have more time for other topics for now. With that 2 minutes, I just want to again thanks Poja for supporting this, and thanks everyone who made it today. I want to bring to your awareness that we are calling for next topic. You feel free to sign up for the second one if you want, and also we look for you to participate in discussion for things that occur here. So feel free to sign up on the second one. I'll paste the link, and also feel free to join our Discord. I will also paste. And in general, this is a place where we hope that everyone is a peer and then provide feedback from others and advance this together. If you think of any topic that's worth discussing, or if you think of someone you want to recommend someone to give a demo, please do help. We need your contribution. I also want to bring up a few other venues that is super helpful for me to learn about this. There's this PEEP and EIP forum that Poja is leading, that introduce an EIP and hold a discussion with the author every, I think it's every week, right, Poja? The slot is every week or bi-weekly. And so if you're interested, that's a spotlight place to share with people that your EIP in much more detail, much in depth. So that is a great forum. Yeah, and oh, I think you raise hands. Adam, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, just a quick question about that. We've been very interested in the PEEP and EEP format, and what's the best way to go about volunteering or requesting a slot there?
You can request slots here. I think I shared the project. That's how you claim the slots. And
okay.
You want to introduce more about PEEP and EEP, please do.
Yeah, right. So I have shared the the project board that we are maintaining at our end to, let the authors know about available slots. So you can just reach out to me and either message me on Catadus Discord or DM me if you find an appropriate. We try to have these meetings for proposals which are either in review or past review, making sure that authors are around to push the proposal and people should be knowing about it. We would like to get some reference implementation or projects getting inspired implement these ERCs or EIPs that we are trying to have as a standard here. So at this stage, a past draft review or last call, it is really helpful for people to learn about something coming up as a standard or maybe available to start working as a reference implementation. So please feel free to ping me on Catadus Discord or any other forum.
Yeah, and there's also other forums. I hope I just realized it would be nice for me to actually come up with the slides introducing all other forums where you can seek help or introduce your EIPs. And this is not just one group. We hope to build this as a community as well. So Kyle, you have your hands raised. Do you have something to comment before we hang up? Okay.
Nope, just left it up. Sorry.
Alrighty. Okay, cool. Alrighty, everyone, thanks for joining the first all ERC devs. I hope that is helpful and it's inspiring. I personally feel very inspired. We're trying to make some experiments. So next time we will do some rotation in time zone. It's probably going to be Thursday in the morning of US Pacific time. It might be late in Asia or other places. But we hopefully that gives other people some opportunity to participate as well. We look for your suggestion or sign up of topic, and contributions are welcomed as well. Please join us and look forward to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Victor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.